The people who get trusted and promoted into leadership positions are almost never the ones that are the hardest workers. Sounds harsh, but it's the reality. I'm Ricky. I talk about the unspoken rules at work so that you can go from overthinking to navigating through it effectively without losing yourself along the way. Have you ever wondered why you work so hard and your manager always gives you very, very positive performance reviews at the end of the year? And yet you look around and other people are getting promoted and you're not. It's not because you're not good at your job. You're actually very, very good and capable at doing your job. That's the problem. You're seen as a doer. The unspoken rule here is that people who are doers and hard workers are usually not the ones that get promoted. People who get promoted and placed into leadership positions are usually the ones who are able to portray a sense of confidence. They're usually the ones who are able to convince others that they are capable and that they are highly skilled, not necessarily the ones who are the most highly skilled. There's a difference there. And although this might sound a little bit discouraging, don't worry, because there's a way to navigate through this. In order to be seen as someone who can be promoted or be seen as someone who has leadership potential. Does that sound familiar? There are a few things that you can do to position yourself to be seen in that light. Because remember, the unspoken rule here is that the hardest worker isn't the one that actually gets promoted and put into leadership positions. It's the person who can convince other people and be portrayed as someone who is highly skilled and competent. So if you are already a hard worker, you're highly skilled, you're very competent, that just puts you in an even better place to be promoted. And yet you're probably not, because the problem is that you are too focused on doing the work. You're too focused on delivering to the deadlines. Now stay with me because I know that could sound a little bit conflicting. But here's the thing to remember. Just because you're able to and you're good at doing the work constantly, that doesn't mean you have to be the one to be doing it. The people who are put into leadership positions and promoted to become managers are the ones not doing the work themselves, but the ones who are able to empower, to engage with the rest of the team, and to make sure that they're still producing the work that is necessary, but they're not always the ones doing it themselves. So the secret here is pull back on doing the work yourself as much as you can. There's a statistic that shows people who take more vacations actually have a higher likelihood of getting promoted into management positions. But the reality again is not actually how much work you do, how much hours you put in, it's the perception of how you actually get the work done. That's what matters, and that's what people look for when they promote people into management positions. This is where the super interesting part comes in, and this is where I use my psychology background, because the way that managers and leaders think when they choose who to promote next is not necessarily looking at who's the hardest worker or who contributes the most hours in the workday. What they look at is, can I trust this person to make smart decisions for the team, for the company? Can I see this person being decisive? Can I see this person making hard decisions when the options may be between bad and even worse? That's what matters to managers and leaders, not who can do the work, who can churn all the hours, who can work during their vacation time. Those are not impressive when it comes to identifying people to be promoted to management positions. Stop spending so much time keeping your head down doing the work. That may have gotten you to where you are today, but it is not going to get you to where you want to go in the future in your career. In order to break that ceiling of being seen as a doer, you have to stop constantly doing. Because if you don't, then you don't have any time to develop your other skills, which, as I mentioned, are actually the more important skills that managers and leaders look for when they're promoting people. Skills like, can you influence someone? Can you properly communicate and articulate the story? Can you be put in front of a room full of executives and still hold your ground and be able to be confident and not shy away? Those are all the soft skills that take a lot of time and intention to develop. So if you are really wanting to be promoted and you're interested in becoming a leader, you first have to create time for yourself to develop those soft skills. It is going to be very, very difficult for you to make it into a leadership position if you keep your head down and you're doing the work constantly. You have to be seen as a leader. You have to feel like a leader. And in order to get those things, you have to start acting like a leader. And what that means is not constantly just thinking about the scope of the work that you do, not constantly just thinking in terms of deadlines, but thinking beyond that and thinking about how you could have other people maybe help you get the work done while shifting the time that you save into other areas that can position you to be seen more as a leader amongst management. Because the moment that managers and other leaders put you into a box of the doer, it is going to be very, very hard for you to convince them that you're not just a doer, that you're able to do much more beyond just the tactical work. That's unfortunately how our minds work, and that's the psychology behind getting promoted. We love categorizing things, and that's how our minds work as humans. And remember, people who are making these decisions of who to promote are humans. They have natural biases, and their bias is definitely towards people who they feel and think can actually behave like a leader. And that starts with you not being seen as the one who's constantly just doing all the work. Most career advice ignores the psychology behind it. But career growth isn't just about skills, it's about perception. And perception follows psychology. If you want more practical career guidance grounded in how people actually think and behave at work, then subscribe. I'll see you next time.